Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be looking at what we call radical changing verbs. They're also called stem changing verbs in Spanish. And that sounds like a complicated concept. It's not really that complicated. And they're very common verbs in Spanish. And let's just have a look at some examples. So it's a verb where the vowel changes. The vowel in the middle changes. That's really the important thing. And there's some very common verbs. We've probably seen them many times. Jugar, juego. Pensar, pienso. Pedir, pido. So it's about this vowel here changing here, from the infinitive to the present tense. We look at it in a little more detail now. So there are three different types. You don't really need to learn off the types. It's not really important, but it's handy to know. First one is O to U-E. So this is very common. We've seen it lots and lots. Let's take volver, to return. This is supposed to be a return symbol there. So in the present tense, what we're doing is we are conjugating verbs. So in the present tense, volver is vuelvo. The first person is vuelvo, I return. Vuelves, vuelve. So what happens is the O in the infinitive changes to UE when we conjugate it. The I and the U and the E and the she, first, second, and third person. You'll see here, and this is common with all radical changing verbs, volvemos, volvéis. What do you notice here? The O is retained from the infinitive. So this is the nosotros form, of course, we. The vosotros, you plural, we keep the O. And in the ellos form, we go back to the UE. So some people say that it's a little bit like a boot. You could see here in black, the shape is like a little boot here. So the boot is the changing, the radical change. If that helps to picture it like that, that may help to remember it. But generally, it's important to remember nosotros, vosotros, we keep the O. There's no radical change. So let's look at some other examples. So usually it's O to UE, as we have here, but actually in one verb, it's U to UE, and that's jugar. So jugar is all on its own here, where the U changes to UE. In other words, we're really just getting an extra E in the middle here. Jugar, juego. And we can see that the pattern is the same. We have jugamos, jugáis, because they are the nosotros and vosotros forms. They match the infinitive. They're actually completely regular. They're regular forms. Next one. E to IE. So the E in the middle changes to IE. The common verb is perder, to lose. You can see the boy is walking up the stairs. He's losing everything. So perder changes to pierdo. Again, you could just say that you're getting an extra I in there. But we normally call it E to IE. Again, the same pattern. Perdemos, perdéis. Totally regular. Matches the infinitive. You have the E in the infinitive and the E here, no IE. So the pattern is the same. Again, learning verbs in Spanish is all about learning the pattern. So perder, pierdo, pierdes, pierde, perdemos, perdéis, pierden. And the last type. This is E to I, so this is a complete change. Let's look at the example we have is medir, to measure. Mido, mides, mide. Medimos, medis, miden. So medir, again, we can see in blue the nosotros, vosotros forms. We keep the E. It's totally regular. What happens here? The E changes to I in the other persons. Mido, mides, mide, etc. So we have other verbs like this. We're going to see them in a second. First of all, let's do some practice. So let's look at the verb and let's look at the first person. Pensar. Pensar is the infinitive. Make it a little bigger. So what's the first person? It's an E to IE change, so it's pienso. Exacto. So we're concentrating on the first person because if you get the first person, that helps you with all of the others. So this is cerrar. Cerrar, to close. Okay, so let's make it a bit bigger. So the first person, again, it's an E to IE. So what's the first person? I close. Cierro. Exacto. Cierro. This, to order in a restaurant. In Spain, in Latin America, they use different verbs for this. But in Spain, they use pedir. In Latin America too, but they also have other verbs that come from English. So pedir is, we see the E, so the E, we know the E is changing in some way. It's not an IE here, it's just an I. Pido. Pedir, pido. So that's type 3. So let's look at the types just we're talking about it. Cerrar is type 2 on our list. And pensar, pienso is type 2 as well. So, el infinitivo, ¿cómo se dice? Dormir. So this is a word we learn early. You can remember it from dormitory, place where you sleep, dormir. So we know that we see the O here. We know the O can only change to one thing. What is it? UE. O-T-U-E, duermo. This, of course, is jugar. So we know that this is U-T-U-E, juego. And maybe this picture isn't that clear. We have the baby elephant following maybe the mother elephant. So, a verb is to follow, seguir. Seguir. So here, again, we have the E. So which change does the E have here? Well, this time it's just the I, sigo. Seguir, sigo. So some other radical changing verbs, very common ones. Preferir. Let's just do the first person while we're at it. So this time it's actually this E that changes, not the first one. Prefiero. Exactly. So it's an E to IE change. Encontrar. To find. Let's do the first person. So we see the O. We know the O can only change to one thing. What is it? Encuentro. O-T-U-E. Entender. A common verb, to understand. Let's put it in the first person. So again, it's always the final consonant before the ending. It's not the first consonant, it's the final consonant before the ending that we change. The E changes here to IE. So the majority of E changes are to IE. Not all of them, as we'll see. Servir. So servir is to serve. And we can see that the E is here. We know the E can change two ways. Here it's sirvo. E changes to I here. So it's an E to I change. A couple of others for a bit of practice. Almorzar. ¿Qué significa almorzar? To have lunch. So we can see the O. We know the O changes. So, ¿cómo se dice? I have lunch. Almuerzo. The O can only change one way, to UE. And a common verb here, sentarse, to sit down. So the first person, again, because it's reflexive, we change the se. Change the se to a me. And then we just deal with the verb on its own. So sentar, we see the E. Most E's change to IE. Me siento. Exacto. Okay, so I'll give you some practice to do. If you're not sure, go back and look. Tú, this is the verb seguir. Sigues, the an E to IE change. Okay, so I'll just give you some more just to see, I'll leave you with it. And if you're not sure, go back and check in the video, all of the answers are there. So ella, this is perder. Nosotros, cerrar. You have to change the verb and conjugate it. Yo, pedir. Ellos, this is dormir. Él, medir. And one more. Yo, pensar. So see if you can find the correct forms of the verb for these combinations, these conjugations. Again, just to revise before we go. So we're talking about verbs where the vowel changes when we conjugate them. They're very common. Volver, vuelvo. O changes to UE. Jugar, juego. The U changes to UE. Very common one, perder, pierdo. E changes to IE. And the last type, medir, mido. E to I. That's our video for today. Thanks for watching.